July 2018 meeting of the Board of Education order. We'd ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, Dave. Thank you, everyone. Bobby, roll call, please.
Jessica Mead. Here. Andy Mary.
Yeah.
Noel Deep.
Here.
Mary Nico. Here. Sandy Pyatt.
Here.
Danielle Yushka.
Here.
JD Schrader.
Here.
Jeannie Long. Here. And Mike Boulder.
Here. And Bobby, please let the record reflect that Danielle is participating in the meeting via telephone.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. We'll go right on to the consent agenda. Looking for a motion, please.
I move the board approve the minutes of the June 26, 2018 meeting, special meetings held on June 18, June 25, and June 29. The financial report for June 2018, consideration of the current bill, checks number 8951 through 9044 in the amount of $609,116.54, ACH numbers 171-801-503 through 171-801-568 in the amount of $263,230.28 for 2017-18. ACH numbers 181900001 through 181900064 in the amount of $216,249.68, and one wire transfer in the amount of $31,818.13 for a total of $1,120,414.63.
Second.
Okay, motion from Dr. Deep, second from Jeannie Long. Anybody have any questions regarding the financials? Have you had an opportunity to look at them? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Citizens and delegations.
No one signed it.
No one signed in. We don't have any students here this month, which is probably a good thing on their behalf.
Thanks, Jake.
So, before we get too far along in the new business, I think we should welcome the lady to my immediate left, our new district administrator, Dr. Julie Sprague. So I think she deserves a little Good, thanks for sucking up.
Duly noted.
Welcome. We hope your stay here with us is lengthy. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Alrighty. New business. Wisconsin Department of Justice School Safety Grant. Who gets that? Jake?
Just wanted to give a quick update on the safety grant. We're awarded $160,000. That's a very good chunk of money that we got. So that was pretty unexpected and very welcome to have. We're still kind of working through the process on how we have to apply for it and all the good people not apply. Submit for it, and that I got the packet last week, and we'll work through that, but we'll get the project started as soon as we can, and it will be card access additions at the high school or middle school, but mainly at the elementaries. So we have card access control so we can keep our perimeter secure. Security camera systems, mainly again at the elementary schools. We have none there now, so we'll have them on the same system that we have here at the high school and the middle school, which will tie into dispatch as well. Some additional window film, both on the exterior entrances, and then we're going to be doing some of the classroom windows inside the building. Central office is going to get a small facelift, if you will, to the entrance to make that a little more inviting so that we can see when people come in, and a little more secure. So nothing too major there, but a little bit that's been needed over the years.
So it was a categorical aid that we received in a sense, and they allocated $20,000 per school that was identified on DPI's location list. So we received $160,000, but there was no restriction on how we use the funds. We just had to apply for it. So each one of, even the rural schools received, we were eligible for 20,000. And we're pooling that money and really focusing on the 3 elementary schools, the bulk of it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the Attorney General also say there was another round
Yes,
coming
and
that we can?
they had just released that today, or announced it today. There's $54 million that's available for a second wave, and that will be mainly focused on mental health. So that will include a training process for our staff, things of that sort.
Are we working on that then? Proposal?
Not quite yet. We have to have an intent. We just got the email today. We have an intent letter that would be due by August 15th. So we will be, absolutely.
Good. Good to hear. Yeah.
Thank you for doing that work.
Tim has been doing the pile of work on it, so thank him. I've been doing the easy stuff, he's been doing.
I like those kind of projects.
Apparently you were supposed to be there. That's okay. Camera shy as you were. Yeah, great work by all the administrative staff to get all that together, and it's a kudos to everybody. And let's hope we get more in the second round and keep everything rolling right along, because the state does recognize that there are problems out there, and thankfully they've stepped up and decided to do something about it, which is a good thing, so good news.
Excuse me, Mike, on that second round, when you talked about the mental health part of it, is there any way that any of that money could be used for a social worker or some social workers? That's been discussed, I think, within the, trying to
I
get.
might know more about that.
So part of the reason why I think they dumped more money into this and tied it to the mental health piece of it is that they had $4.5 million and they had twice as many schools apply for that 4.5, and we did apply for it and didn't get the first round. But that was to not necessarily a social worker, but a mental health navigator was a part of that grant. And so we have that foundation. When I read through the thing today that they sent out for the new monies, I'm hoping that we can take the grant that we applied for initially and morph it into what, you have to form a safety committee as part of this, and like a mental health safety committee is a huge piece, that's like a non-negotiable, but then the rest of it, I'm hoping that we can take what we've already worked on and try to apply for the monies.
Yeah, well, up until the memo came out this morning, there was no knowledge of the parameters for it, so
Yeah.
do any prep work ahead of time now.
And they just were not even, they had, like I said, twice as many schools apply for those monies. They just
Well,
saw,
the legislature blasted this one through pretty fast anyway, so,
yeah.
yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of time to do a whole lot of prep, so good job, guys. Alrighty, thank you for the update. Let's go to board action, item A. Amend the 2018 budget. Yep.
Okay, so what I've asked the board members to do is to open 2 documents, and we'll be going back and forth between the 2 of them. So this is a process that we do annually, and our auditors really like us to amend the budget before we do a year end, and I told the board last month that I just wasn't able to get the documents together. So the 2 that I'd like you to open is the budget summary detailed and budget adoption July 2018. So if you can pop those 2 open and then just kind of give me a head nod when you have them open. Okay, so when we look at that budget adoption format, that's a format that's put together by the DPI Financial Services Division. And it's a format that we use then to upload to them. We also will publish off of a summary document that's included as the 3rd doc. So if you go down to the 2nd page of the document, and you'll see expenditures and other financing, and just above that it says total revenues. And originally back in October, we had a budget that was $27,260,373. The current budget has been adjusted for revenues, and it stands at $27,480,647. And now if you flip to the other document, and the reason why I wanted to show you this is going to outline the detail of what that adjustment is. So when we look at that document, you can see there was an increase in $18,353. That was adjustment in common school categorical aid that we received. And then we show some adjustments into the Title I, Title II, and Carl Perkins revenues. And when we project the budget in October, we still don't know what our actual SAGE and AGR grant aid is going to be. So we've trued the budget up to those revenues. And then we also have some other grant funds for $20,661. So you can see the total there of $220,274.80 is our additional revenue. And that's the adjustment that we're making, and that ties in. Now, if we flip back to the document again, to the budget publication, and we move down, you'll see that we've detailed some changes in expenditures, but I want you to jump down to the box that says Special Project Funds 21, 23, and 29. The only budget area that we use there is Fund 21, which is our donations. And you can see that originally we had $108,059 is what we budgeted for revenues. If we flip back to the document, you'll see where that budget summary ties out. And so we're looking at the blue box. And then if you scroll down the document a little further, the color code there tells you all the changes in Fund 21 that resulted in that $45,000 change in revenue. Does that make sense for the board members? Okay, let's go back to the publication document again. And now let's look at Fund 27. So Fund 27 is the next 2 pages. And you don't see a whole lot of adjustment, but on the bottom of that 3rd page, as well as the middle of the 4th page, you see expenses and revenues. Back in October, we had $4,653,383 with a small adjustment to $4,595,882. You go back to the budget summary, you'll see the detail there in gold, and you can see that we had a small adjustment in both preschool entitlement and flow-through. We had some additional expenditures, miscellaneous expenditures and activities in special education. The bulk of the changes were related to personnel, salary, and benefits from what was originally passed in October. So it's changes in personnel and benefits from October until now. Then the rest of the document, there are very little changes.
Tim, do I just misremember? I thought that one wasn't allowed for us to spend less on the special ed budget, or is that a different?
There's exceptions we can take for voluntary change in jobs, and we try to capture those whenever we can. Don't we, Heidi?
Yes, we do.
So in terms of the presentation, what I'd like you to do is to be able to, if you look, then if we go all the way down to the bottom of the publication document, we essentially have total expenditures after we've taken out the Fund 10 transfer into Fund 27 of $31,423,009. So that would be all the amendments in.
Then we need to approve that today?
We would. And then, so if someone wants to keep that number in mind, I want you to go back to the financials, and I want to talk about, so what we've done is we've trued our budget up right now with this amendment to our revenue side of the equation. We won't know until after the audit exactly how we're going to finish out the school year. But I want to touch on where I think we're going. You know, we're almost a month into the new school year, the new school budget. So I'd like you to go back into board docs, go back to the financials, so the consent agenda. And I want you to pull out the budget report for June of 2018. So so let me know when you have that up. Folks know where I'm at? Okay.
What's the title of the PDF?
Okay, the PDF is, I think it was June budget report. Let me go back.
BGF, BDGT, RPT, June, last.
Did you find it, JD?
Header on it says Unified School District Annual Budget Status Report 6/30/2018 unaudited.
So it says budget report, June 2018.
It's under the consent agenda.
Correct.
It's the last one.
Click on the consent agenda, it's the last PDF.
You gotta scroll down to get there.
Right here.
Do you have it up?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to talk about in real generalities, the first thing I want to point out is that this is an unaudited report. And I don't want to get into real specifics because we've amended the budget and some of the notations here would be prior, because we didn't approve an amendment, it's using the October information. So you can't take exactly from this report to what we're going to amend tonight. But I want to speak in generalities. And the first thing I want to look at is if you look at that first line, Fund 10, General Fund without grants. We have almost $100,000 of additional revenue in the school year than what we budgeted back in October. And that's everything from common school aid, which we just talked about. It's everything from student fees, admissions, sales of obsolete equipment. It's all those things that we do throughout the school year. We have $100,000 more revenue than we anticipated. Looking on the expense side, the numbers where you see undifferentiated curriculum, that tends to be what we spend on instruction for elementary. And when you look at that number, we got $525,000 where we underspent budget. And the reason I'm alluding up to this is because we're going to talk about fund balance in just a little bit. So there's 6 items that make up the bulk of that $525,000. We left almost $20,000 in the Ames account where we have families that can request expenditure for curriculum and materials and supplies. They left $20,000 on the table. The after-school program, we weren't sure what we were going to do with the program this upcoming year. So there were no supplies purchased towards the end of the year, and they left almost $10,000 in the after-school program. We have 2 different district software accounts, and the technology committee's done a fantastic job of consolidating all of those different software programs into district-wide initiatives. We left almost $20,000 in that budget area. The salary budget for all of instruction, we generalize and have a pot of money that we call a plug account, which comes out of the $110,000 function area. So when we have insurance changes, we have someone would leave at semester, if we have long-term subs, people on FMLA, all of that money comes out of that $110,000 area. And then finally, we had $44,000 in textbook expenditures that did not happen. And I talked to you last month about the capital equipment where we were going to pull off the desk purchase, and that did not happen. And that was almost $150,000. So that $525,000 represents what we were almost going to spend out of fund balance. And that's really what I'm getting at. We're going to end the year, and we are not going to dip into fund balance by $600,000 as the board approved. So let's go a little further down the sheet. So if we go into instructional staff services, and you see $94,538. That's an over expenditure of what was budgeted originally back in October. Well, that account makes up a lot of professional development. So all of that PLC training and all the things that, those initiatives that were implemented last year came out of that area. So that's why that account is up. One of the accounts I want to talk about, there's actually three of them, in Jake's area. Had I known that we were gonna be this short of spending all of our money, I would have given Jake a little more freedom. I told Jake I wanted him to net his area, so that his area would be zero. So if you look in those accounts, you can see that under operational, which is gonna be primarily anything associated with the custodians and keeping the building open and the lights on, that account left, there were $42,000 left in that account. But in his maintenance account, he overspent $74,000. And then look at what he spent in remodeling. So you can see the total between the two of them was a net effect of, we overspent by $12,000, which is just about spot on. But Jake would have done more, I'm sure, this summer, had I given him a little freedom, knowing that we weren't gonna pull off some of the purchases like the desks or whatever we might have done. One of the anticipated savings that we had, or non-anticipated, was if you look under pupil transportation, Amalliet's cut a bus route without asking last year. They knew that they could swing it, the bus times would be okay. We thought that that would be somewhere around a $35,000 savings. We also have a fuel escalator that was built in, which we didn't need, and they get paid on excess miles above a certain percentage each day. Well, the net effect is we saved almost $75,000 there. Then finally, the last, there's a couple more items that I'd like to talk about is, one is the OPEB contribution, and we talk at length about that with forfeitures. We added the sick leave plan, that comes out of that area. We also had an expenditure for a liability that I didn't want to incur because of the result of retirement. So we had the funds this year to look at those retirees. They had some liability, we went ahead and made a contribution to the OPEB account in that amount. So, and that's why that one was over budget. And then finally would be the, where you see the 430,000 function area, non-program transactions. That tends to be where we're paying other districts for open enrollment expenses, those kinds of things. We had more students than anticipated attend the RVA, to the tune of almost all of that $71,000 and over budget was because of parents choosing to join the RVA. And we're a member of the consortium, but RVA charges us on an actual cost basis, and we don't get that final number until usually around May. So the net effect, and again, these are unaudited, it looks like we're gonna be light in expenditures. When you look at that, there's $399,349 out of the 600 that we were estimating we were gonna overspend. So we'll dip into fund balance, I'm estimating around $200,000 is the net effect of all those changes. So with that, if somebody can remember that number of the 30 million, that's what I would need.
You're looking for approval of 31.
31,423,000.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the amended budget as presented. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes. Dr. D, Danny with the second. Any further discussion on the budget numbers? Any questions? Hearing none, Bobby, let's do roll call vote, please.
Jessica Mead,
Yes.
Andy Mary,
Yes.
Noel D,
Yes.
Mary Newfeld,
Yes.
Danny Pyatt,
Yes.
JD Schrader,
Yes.
Jeannie Long,
Yes.
and Mike Bolden.
Yes. Very good.
Tim, thanks for doing all of that.
Well, I want to thank Dawn Schrader. Dawn.
Well, your whole
just really
staff.
cranks the numbers. Yeah, she did a nice job.
Glad it worked out so well, and everybody hanging in there. Tim, thanks for a good, solid explanation and leading us through your number of charts
Could you repeat it?
and maps
Could you
and
go over it one more time?
whatever, so, good deal.
We can just go watch the tape later.
Okay, let's go on to item B, all district policies revised, reading number 2. I believe that we are at the point where the work that Neola did is now completed, and we've, by approving the second reading tonight, means we will adopt the policy manual as they have assembled it. That's not to say that we cannot at some point go in and do some revisions, that tweakings to our own liking that'll make it more personalized to our district, so.
Is this a motion and
We'd be looking for a motion to approve the second reading of for the policies.
I move the board adopt all USDA revised policies in their entirety.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion from Jessica, second from Jeannie.
Julie, you want us to wait a
Discussion.
month? We'll see if you wanna really change anything before we approve them all, or?
I'm comfortable with you approving, and like Mike said, then as we
We can always change it
Need-
tomorrow if
right.
any of those policies have to be.
correct, revise individual policies.
The question I do have is the administrative guidelines, because as I was going through all the administrative guidelines, they were not completed.
They're not finished.
Is that something that's part of this approval,
No.
or that,
This
is that
would
something
just be
separate?
policies, and then administrative guidelines will be separate.
Okay.
And that will come back to the board in August.
Gotcha.
Good.
They need work yet.
Thanks for that.
They're not.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of adopting the policy manual, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Ready. Item C, clarification of CISA 6 contracts.
Okay, so that is me. Last board meeting, Dr. Tim had brought forth our CISA 6 contracts with Brittany and with Nicole. So I just wanted to make sure that, in the minutes it says contracts, but I just wanted to make sure both were approved. And if you had any questions on any of those, one was for Nicole and Brittany, and then the other one was for Nicole, and those are for 4K through 8 ELA. So we're,
Or if I remember it, we did approve the contract.
This was
on CISA
approved.
6.
So.
This is, yeah, so this is just clarifying it.
I just wanted to make sure both were.
Right,
Yeah.
This
It
is
is,
a
that was
six.
a point
Right.
of clarification that I brought forth. We only had one attachment in the document, and it was for about half of the contract amount.
But the minutes said contracts. So we just wanted to make sure that the board was totally clear, and that if there was any questions, we didn't want to go forth with,
Okay.
so should we
approve.
officially be approving the rest of this then, or do we?
Well, my question is, did you,
If we approve the contracts and we have
because that's what the minutes
Nicole
say both.
and Brittany both, and that's plural in
Okay.
my book, so,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
yeah. So
just
we've
make a
got
note
this,
of it in the
make a note of it in the records that we have this, and we
Okay.
should be good since
It
we've
says
already.
on here that it was 2018-19 CISA 6 literacy contract.
But that was only
Yes.
40,000 on the
Right.
attachment.
But there's only one attachment instead of
Right.
two.
So we didn't put
But
any
there said
dollar
there was-
amount in there?
Pardon me?
We didn't put any dollar amount on
We
No.
the
did
motion?
not. We just
Okay.
said as presented.
Then we should
Yeah.
be-
And so, without Dr. Tim being here, I just wanted to make sure that between that the board was totally clear, and that we weren't moving forth with anything that anybody was unclear about or anything like that. So,
Everybody fine with it?
Yeah, 'cause I remember that.
All right. Good,
Gotta
Thank
learn
you.
how to use that fancy reading program.
there you go. Okay, very good, thank you. Item D, Educators Rising. Laura, I think you'd like to talk to us.
Oh, I'm fine.
But a little bit more maybe.
Okay. So I learned a lot about Educators Rising upon my arrival here, and I missed your presentation to this board. But as I understand it, you are seeking this to become an officially paid position. Supervisory, I don't think that's the right word, advisory position. So is that still your request?
Yes, that is my request.
So we've talked a lot about this at central office so that I could become more familiar with what's happening. And there are clubs, if you will, that are athletically related that are not funded right now. So we want to be fair and equitable and are prepared to endorse your approval of this club under Laura's guidance. But then Mike just suggested that there is protocol out there that we would like to revisit to make sure we have a systematic way of approving or denying such requests in the future. So the board knows as much about Educators Rising as I do, thanks to Laura's previous presentation. So I would endorse your approval tonight if you are so moved. And then we can meet with Laura individually to establish the dollar amount, etc. Tim tells me there's a formula out there for such things, so.
So I guess then we would be looking for a motion to approve the addition of the Educators Rising Club at the high school.
I so move.
Motion from Andy, second from Jessica. Any discussion from the board?
I just want to say it's easier to approve something like this than say track club, because it's hard to get teachers around here, so if we can grow our own and this is a step in that direction, it's at least a differentiation in my mind to fund this.
Rainey, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. You got a club. Now the work begins.
Thank you. It's already begun.
Now the work continues. There you go. Alrighty, good. Item E, replacement of a district vehicle. Jake, I know this has got to be you.
Do you want me to talk now, or do you want the motion first?
Let's do it proper,
Yeah, let's make a motion.
I'll make a
Thanks.
motion. So moved.
So moved, Dr. D.
That's what's the motion.
Second from Dan. To approve the purchase of a district vehicle. So let's discuss. We have a motion from Dr. D, second from
Did
Dan.
you
So then
specify
we've got
which one
that.
you wanted?
Now let's talk about what do you want?
Yes, sir.
So, the attachment shows the two bids that I got. One was from the state purchasing agreement through Ewald. They won the state purchasing contract, and the other one is through Langley Ford here in town. The reason I only went with Ford's is because with the state purchasing, that was the lowest one that came back. They priced out Chevy and Dodge, but they were both higher. So then I only went to Langley just to not waste the local Chevy and Dodge dealership times. So, Langley Ford is about $270 higher, or I'm sorry, $170 higher. But, I think that it's good
It's
to
a
keep it
local
local.
company and you get
They
service.
treated us very well throughout the years
What
that
are
I've
you
been
looking
here.
at purchasing right now?
This is a F-350, dual rear wheel, 4-wheel drive pickup truck with a dump bed on it. So it will be used for the groundskeeper, Mike Bovet. He will use that to haul our tractor and lawnmowers up to Hoboken and around town, the more properties that he does. And I assume that as we go into the closure of the additional elementary schools out in the country, we are gonna have to maintain those at some level, and not having a local custodian there, that's probably gonna put more use on that vehicle as well. The current vehicle has broke down. I think Mike so kindly reminded me over a dozen times in the last 2 months. And it's been a good vehicle, but it's definitely served its useful life.
Is this the one you drove out to the school forest and leave it running now because afraid of starting?
Yes.
What you selling it for?
I want to ask Ford what they will give us on trade-in, but more than likely we will probably put it on auction, on the auction site, and see what we get there, because I think that would be better outcome. I think there's a better market for it on the public auction site than there would be on trade-in value.
Is it a 2018?
2019.
And then do we each get it for a week?
If-
So we can like
if-
test
I'm not
drive and
gonna
see
lie.
how it works?
You can certainly come and do,
You can try.
you can do lawn work or anything Mike has on the list for, and you can
Guys
drive.
can always drive it, I got a nice lot.
One ton with a towing package?
What's that?
One ton with a towing package?
It does, yep.
Okay, so. Alrighty, any further discussion on that? So you would like us to accept the bid of Langley Ford for that minute dollar difference, alrighty. So that being the case, any further discussion that we accept the bid of Langley Ford? Bobby, roll call vote please.
Andy Mary.
Yeah.
Noel Deep,
Yes.
Mary Newfeld,
Yes.
Danny Pyatt,
Yes.
Jay Schrader,
Yes.
Jeannie Long,
Yes.
Jessica Mead,
Yes.
and Mike Bolden.
Yes. You can't have your name painted on the side of it.
See, you thought I was joking.
Yes. Alrighty. Item F, new hires, and there are a plethora, so we'd be looking for a motion to start off, please.
Motion to approve as presented.
Okay. Okay, motion from Dr. Deep, second from Ms. Mead. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 new hires. Any question on any of them?
It's gonna be interesting, Michael Flood and Michael Blood.
We had that discussion.
So how many more are we looking to hire? Number of teachers do we need by the beginning of the school year?
Two, I believe, yes.
Wow,
That's nice.
they've done a
That's
great
better
job.
than what I thought.
Could sleep well tonight.
There you go.
Especially we got a science teacher.
Is
She was very
Avery
upset.
Koblings, the science teacher that's taking Sue's place, is he like is he new, is he young?
Yes.
Is his first job? Oh, hello, yeah, it's his first job.
Yeah, he has, got a lot of life science experiences and he's a young teacher who's
Good.
looking to jump in.
So he'll do anatomy or whatever those upper things that she did, those more advanced classes?
It'll be arranged slightly differently.
Okay.
So we looked at number of preps for each teacher and we wanted to try to reduce that to have each teacher have 2 preps, so it's gonna be aligned a little bit differently.
But I thought she was the only one who was doing the nat physio and I think the 2 of them doing the advanced bio.
Yep, so Avery, he's not gonna be exactly Sue's job because Teal Mock is gonna be teaching anatomy.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yep, and so he's gonna have, I forget exactly how he split it out on there, but he's gonna only have 2 preps. And so is Teal, and so is.
Is Teal a science teacher or math teacher?
still
I
science.
don't know, I thought he was math. Okay, well, good, as long as that anatomy class is covered.
Yep, he's covered.
Good.
And Teal was really excited to
Oh, I bet, yeah.
have that too.
Okay, we do have a request to pull one name off of the approval at this point and vote on that one separately, as a board member does have somewhat of a personal situation there. So for the purposes of the motion at this point, Dr. Deep, since you made the motion, would you like to amend it to pull out the name of Kelly Carlson
Absolutely.
at this time?
I'd be happy to make that. With them.
Okay, on the second to do that?
Yep.
Okay, so then we'll be voting at this point on the 11 hires, and we'll vote on the Kelly Carlson one separately. So, any further discussion on the motion as with the 11 members? All those in favor of hiring, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, then we would be looking for a separate motion then to approve the hiring of Kelly Carlson.
So move. Second.
Andy? Motion from Andy, second from Dr. Deep. Okay, any discussion further on this one? Right, then
Who's
let's,
the related board member?
we're gonna do a roll call vote on this one, and it will explain itself. So, Bobby, roll call, please.
Nolde,
Yes.
Mary Newfeld,
Yes.
Danny Pyatt,
Yes.
JD Schrader,
Yes.
Jeannie Long,
Abstain.
Jessica Mead,
Yes.
Andy Mary,
Yes.
and Michael Folding.
Yep. Okay, so motion carries, and the hiring of Kelly Carlson is approved, 7-1.
Yep.
The one is an abstention, so.
Yep.
Very good. Alrighty, item G, resignations, and we have 3, so we would be looking for a motion, please.
Motion to accept as
Resign.
presented the 3 resignations.
I got one started
Oh,
here.
okay.
I
Sorry.
got one started here,
You
so.
got to speak up. Can't hear.
She's trying.
It's a big group.
Okay, then it's
Are we listing them?
Unless you would just like to say as listed, that would work too.
Well, okay, I move the board accept the resignations as follows. So yeah, I'll just say it like that.
Alright,
City Park.
as presented.
Who's that?
Okay,
Or as presented.
motion from Jessica, second from Dr. Deep, to approve the resignations as presented. Any questions on any of these? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We accept their resignations with some regret, but understand why they have chosen to do so. So we thank them for their service in our district. Item H, donations. Somebody want to make a motion and don't fight over it.
Go ahead.
I move the board accept the following donation. $50 from Adam Evans and Molly McKay for the Navoken School Forest. $300 from Christ Central Church for the Philip Backpack Program. And $10,000 from Zalowski Wood Products for the Navoken School Forest.
I'll second it.
Motion from Ms. Mead, second from Ms. Long. Any question on the donations? Which are greatly approved and improved, and make us improved, I should say. And appreciated as well. Thank you. I knew I was a word out there I couldn't find. Any questions on any of you?
No, much appreciated.
Yep. All those in favor of accepting the donations, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. The last one is the day of June. The motion from Mr. Platt to adjourn, second from Ms. Mead. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? We are adjourned.